Story 1. Did you know that cruise ships have jails on them? It's a fun fact I discovered the hard way. In 2018, my family decided to take a vacation on a cruise ship for the first time. Excited, we embarked from Miami for a 7-day trip to the Bahamas. As a 17-year-old girl, I was eager to experience the allure of cruising. However, as the days went by, the floating hotel felt mundane, filled with strangers. The only real excitement came when we docked in the Bahamas, exploring the surroundings. On the 7th day, as we headed back to Miami, I decided to take a solitary stroll on the bow of the ship. It was late, and my family was celebrating in the dining hall. Leaning on the rail, I gazed into the black ocean, feeling an eerie sense of terror. The moon's reflection on my grandmother's necklace caught my attention, evoking memories of her. Lost in reminiscence in the darkness before me, a man approached. Slightly tipsy, my guard was lowered, finding him attractive. We exchanged greetings and started chatting. However, I soon realized we were alone at the bow. There was no one else in sight. That fact sobered me up quickly. Despite his looks, I became uncomfortable. Nervously, I mentioned I needed to return to the dining hall, attempting to walk away. To my dismay, he forcefully grabbed my arm. I demanded he let go, but his gaze fixated on my chest, complimenting the necklace. Desperate, I tried to free myself, but his grip was unyielding. He violently tore the necklace from my neck, leaving me screaming for its return. In that moment, the situation turned into a nightmarish ordeal. He slapped me across the cheek, his intention to lift me and throw me overboard. Desperate to survive, I unleashed a piercing scream that echoed through the ship, fighting with all my strength against his aggression. By the grace of God, 2 crew members heard my cries and rushed to the scene. One restrained the man, while the other pulled me away from the railing. Sobbing uncontrollably, I watched as 10 security members arrived, detaining the assailant and locking him in the brig. Confused, I questioned what the brig was. A crew member explained that it was the ship's jail cell. That's how I discovered the existence of jails on cruise ships. My family found me, and my grandmother's necklace was returned. The cruise liner offered a full refund and a 5-year pass to their first-class suites. When we finally docked in Miami, the attacker was arrested for assault, though I remained unaware of his sentence. I hoped justice would be served. In the end, despite the harrowing incident, I hoped my fun fact about cruise ship jails served as a reminder to others about the hidden dangers that may lurk aboard these vessels. After the terrifying incident, the rest of the journey home was filled with a mixture of relief and lingering fear. My family and I couldn't help but replay the traumatic events over and over again, thankful for the crew members who intervened and saved my life. Once we arrived back in Miami, the local authorities were waiting to take the assailant into custody. As news of the incident spread, the story attracted media attention. Journalists wanted to interview me about the harrowing experience, but I declined, preferring to put the nightmare behind me. The cruise liner's management team reached out to us with sincere apologies and a desire to make amends. They offered us not only a full refund but also a 5-year pass to their luxurious first-class suites as a gesture of goodwill. While it was a generous offer, the memories were too fresh, and the thought of stepping foot on another cruise ship was unsettling. Over the following weeks, I struggled with the aftermath of the attack. Nightmares plagued my sleep, and a newfound sense of vulnerability haunted my daily life. I sought therapy to help cope with the trauma, working through the fear, anger, and confusion that consumed me. As time passed, I began to regain a sense of normalcy. The support of my family and friends played a significant role in my healing process. Their love and understanding helped me rebuild my confidence and trust in others. Meanwhile, the legal proceedings against the attacker progressed. He faced charges of assault, attempted murder, and various other offenses. The evidence against him was overwhelming, and the prosecution was determined to ensure justice was served. Although I didn't actively participate in the trial, I followed the updates, hoping for a fair and just outcome. Months later, I received a call from the prosecutor's office informing me that the attacker had been convicted on multiple charges. While the exact details of his sentence weren't disclosed, knowing that he would be held accountable for his actions brought a sense of closure and relief. With the legal ordeal finally behind me, I decided to channel my experience into something positive. I became an advocate for cruise ship safety, sharing my story and raising awareness about the potential dangers that can lurk on these seemingly idyllic vacations. I collaborated with organizations and participated in public speaking engagements, urging cruise lines to enhance their security measures and improve safety protocols for passengers. As the years went by, my advocacy work gained traction, and I saw positive changes within the cruise industry. Cruise liners implemented stricter security measures, increased surveillance, and improved training for crew members. I found solace in knowing that my ordeal had contributed to making these floating getaways safer for future passengers. Reflecting on the journey from that terrifying night on the bow of the ship to where I stood now, I couldn't help but appreciate the strength and resilience that had grown within me. While the scars, both physical and emotional, would always be a part of me, I had transformed them into a source of empowerment. Looking forward, I vowed to continue using my voice and experiences to shed light on the dark corners of the world. I became an advocate for survivors of assault, offering support and guidance to those who had experienced similar traumas. Through it all, I learned the importance of speaking up, raising awareness, and standing strong in the face of adversity. And so, with a renewed sense of purpose, I embarked on a new chapter of my life, determined to make a difference and ensure that no one else would have to endure the horrors I had faced on that ill-fated cruise. Story 2. What causes people to snap? Is it stress, jealousy, rage, or perhaps cabin fever? I don't have all the answers, but I have a story to share that will make you think twice about the fragile line between sanity and madness. A few years ago, my boyfriend surprised me with 2 tickets for a luxurious getaway cruise. He had recently been promoted and wanted to celebrate by indulging in first-class accommodations. It was like a dream come true, and I couldn't help but feel like Rose from the Titanic, being pampered by the attentive staff. Throughout the trip, we enjoyed live performances, danced in exclusive clubs, and relished in the opulence surrounding us. It was the perfect romantic escape. However, as we neared the end of our journey, an unimaginable horror awaited us. One night, with the ship preparing to return to port in New York, we decided to retire early to our cabin suite. My boyfriend was in the bathroom brushing his teeth, while I lay on the bed mindlessly scrolling through Instagram. That's when it happened. A sudden, loud knock on our door pierced the tranquility of the night. Startled, I called out to my boyfriend, asking if he had ordered room service. He yelled back that he hadn't. Curiosity and a hint of caution urged me to look through the peephole before opening the door. It was a split-second decision that saved our lives. As I gazed through the peephole, a disheveled man stood before our door, his breath heavy, his eyes wide with madness. Red stains smeared across his body, a grotesque sight that sent shivers down my spine. I couldn't fathom what I was witnessing. Time seemed to stand still as we locked eyes through the peephole. 30 agonizing seconds passed before he started banging on our door again, this time with increased ferocity. The door handle jiggled as he attempted to force his way inside. In a panic, I screamed for my boyfriend to join me. He rushed over and looked through the peephole, unleashing a fiery torrent of words, commanding the intruder to leave immediately. But the man refused to listen, continuing to pound on the door and screaming that he needed to show us something. Fear coursed through our veins as the man's relentless assault threatened to breach our sanctuary. Desperate, my boyfriend dialed security on the cabin phone, pleading for help. We pressed our bodies against the door, praying it would hold as we waited for rescue. Finally, we heard other voices outside. Security had arrived. They shouted at the man, demanding he cease his onslaught. To our astonishment, he obeyed their commands. We listened, fearful of what might transpire, but the situation seemed to de-escalate. The man was detained, and it was safe to open our door. As we recounted the horrifying events to the security team, we discovered the gruesome truth. Just 2 doors down from our cabin, the man and his wife had been staying. Tragically, they found her lifeless body, brutally stabbed over 40 times in the chest and neck. The weapon of choice, an ice pick from their cabin's freezer. The realization sent shivers down our spines. That same man, covered in blood, had come to our door, holding the ice pick, desperate to gain entry. It chilled me to the core, knowing that had I not looked through the peephole, our fate might have been sealed. What haunted us even more was the memory of seeing that couple in the breakfast lounge earlier. They appeared like any other normal, happy duo enjoying their cruise vacation. Little did we know the darkness that lurked beneath the surface. My boyfriend later speculated that the man had succumbed to cabin fever, a psychological state of restlessness and irritability caused by being confined in a limited space for an extended period. The combination of isolation, monotony, and the pressures of daily life can push even the most stable individuals to their breaking point. This harrowing experience left an indelible mark on my psyche. The trauma was so profound that it shattered the foundation of our relationship. The fear, the uncertainty, and the lingering horror were too much for me to bear. Sadly, we couldn't overcome the psychological scars that had formed. In the aftermath of that nightmarish encounter, I found myself struggling with anxiety and fear. Every knock on the door sent my heart racing, and the thought of being trapped in a confined space filled me with dread. It took time, therapy, and a supportive network of loved ones to help me heal. Gradually, I started to rebuild my life and regain my sense of security. However, the memories of that fateful night still haunted me. They served as a constant reminder of the fragility of our perceived safety, the darkness that can lurk beneath the veneer of normalcy. As the years passed, I made progress in my healing journey, but there was one thing I knew for certain: I would never step foot on a cruise ship again. The allure of luxurious getaways no longer held the same appeal. The risk of encountering another person on the brink of madness was too great, and I couldn't bear the thought of reliving that terrifying experience. Life moved on, as it always does. I found solace in new experiences and embraced the beauty of the world in different ways. But the scar remained, a reminder of the unpredictable nature of human behavior and the chilling reality that evil can manifest in the most unexpected places. So, as you embark on your own adventures, remember this cautionary tale. Be aware of the thin line between sanity and madness, the delicate balance that keeps us grounded. And should you ever find yourself on a cruise ship, surrounded by the illusion of safety, remember the dark truth that lies beneath the surface. Story 3. Evil, a word that carries different meanings to different people. It is a concept that challenges our understanding of humanity, pushing the boundaries of our moral compass. Yet, in this story, evil finds a chilling embodiment, leaving a lasting impression of horror and despair. It was the year 2019, and my family embarked on our annual Christmas cruise, a tradition we cherish dearly. This voyage, filled with anticipation and excitement, promised sunny Caribbean islands and joyful celebrations. Little did we know that the darkness of human nature would cast its shadow upon our holiday. On the final night of our voyage, as we sailed back to Fort Lauderdale, my sister and I found ourselves wandering the ship's corridors, lost in the late-night allure of the vessel. At the bow, where the sea stretched endlessly before us, we were abruptly jarred by blood-curdling screams that pierced through the tranquil night. In an instant, our instincts kicked in, and we sprinted toward the source of the distress. There, standing by the rails, stood a woman, her laughter reverberating through the air. Confusion and concern mingled within us as we cautiously approached her, inquiring about the source of the screams that had disturbed the peace. To our astonishment, the woman, seemingly in her 30s, laughed even harder. Her manic amusement sent shivers down our spines. She pointed a finger over the railing, directing our gaze toward the depths below. With trepidation, we peered down, our hearts sinking as we beheld a horrifying sight. 2 young children, mere silhouettes in the ink-eye darkness, thrashed desperately in the unforgiving waters. Panic gripped our souls as we comprehended the gravity of the situation. My sister, a nurse, immediately raced off, calling for help, while I remained frozen, paralyzed by the chilling scene unfolding before my eyes. The woman continued her diabolical display, leaning over the railing and waving at the drowning children, as if bidding them farewell on an ordinary day. Her carelessness and lack of empathy defied comprehension, adding another layer of horror to an already unfathomable nightmare. In a matter of minutes, crew members arrived at the bow, their swift response a testament to their training. Life preservers were thrown into the water, offering a fleeting chance of survival for the struggling children. Meanwhile, preparations were made to lower an emergency lifeboat, a beacon of hope in a sea of darkness. It was a revelation to me, a realization I had not known before, the ship's captain signaling a distress call, the blaring alarms echoing across the vessel. The emergency lifeboat descended into the water, a valiant attempt to rescue the innocent souls fighting for their lives. Yet, even from my vantage point, I could discern the lifelessness that engulfed the motionless bodies of the children. As the lifeboat returned to the ship, its occupants bereft of success, the horrifying truth became undeniable. Both young lives were tragically lost to the merciless sea. But what haunts my nightmares to this day is the mother's reaction.